Hello, BookTube. It's been a strange weekend. Odd things happening. I haven't felt myself. But I did manage to get in a book haul. And it's not something I do very often, it seems like. But I get to click something on the list of things I've wanted to do for a long time. And that was visit the Brattle bookshop in Boston, by the Boston Common. And oddly enough, I ran into an old friend there. Some of you may know him. I got to shop the outdoor area first. $1, $3, and $5 books. It was great fun. I found some real treasures, and I can't wait to show you. I got to go inside. I was introduced to an employee there, and wandered, looked around at the books. Wonderful, wonderful bookstore. Great experience. I very much enjoyed it. So let's start right off. And I'm going to start with a book that I owned at one time and no longer have. And that's Grumbles from the Grave. You can see the Brattle sticker. I haven't taken the stickers off yet. This was a $5 book. It's Grumbles from the Grave. Excuse me. It's edited by Virginia Heinlein, and it's Robert Heinlein. And this was a Del Rey book, Valentine's Book, New York. And it's the first edition of January 1990. And I had the first edition when I had the volume, and I absolutely loved it. You can see some of this here. So, yeah, and I'd always regretted that I didn't have it anymore. So here's a little bit about it. Long before his death in 1988, Robert A. Heinlein had expressed the desire to have a selection of his letters published after he was gone and entitled Grumbles from the Grave. But increasing pressure from his work and a series of major illnesses made it impossible for him to undertake the job of editing it himself. Now his wife, Virginia Heinlein, has taken on the labor of fulfilling his wish. Here are his letters from his first one to an editor in 1939, through the long years of writing for the pulp magazine markets, through his ongoing conquest of prestigious slick magazines, and for major book publishers. Many of the later letters are to his longtime agent, Lurton Blessingame. So, beyond thrilled. $5. And look at the condition. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing find. And then this next one is another one I also had, but I actually had it in an oversized paperback. I had never seen the hardback. And this is Age of Wonders, Exploring the World of Science Fiction by David Hartwell. And it has a cover blurb by Frank Herbert, the author of Dune, as David G. Hartwell has taken his cosmic mind on a marvelous exploration of science fiction as it was, as it is, and as it may be. I was enthralled by the Age of Wonders all the way through. And again, it has the Brattle tag, excuse me, $5. Hardcover, never seen it before. It's Walker and Company, New York, 1984. Again, a first edition, first printing, and signed by the author. $5. It's immaculate condition. It's a thrill. And then continuing with David Hartwell, another volume I used to own and no longer have, and that was sort of the theme here. And it was so exciting. And this one, again, was a Brattle, and it was $5. And this is The Ascent of Wonder, The Evolution of Hard Science Fiction, edited by David G. Hartwell and Catherine Kramer. It has an introduction by Gregory Benford. And this big old beast is in great condition. It's a Tom Doherty Association Books, which is Tor, New York, and it is 1994. And the stories and the authors in this volume are just incredible. You have introductions by Gregory Benford, Catherine Kramer, and David Hartwell. But you have stories Ursula Le Guin, Arthur C. Clarke, Robert Heinlein, Henry Kuttner, and C.L. Moore, Asimov, Dean Ing, Edgar Allan Poe, Gregory Benford, Kate Wilhelm. Let's see, J.G. Ballard, Sam Kornbluth, Anne McCaffrey, Ruddy Rucker, H.G. Wells, Larry Niven, John W. Campbell, John T. Sladek, Ian Watson, Bruce Sterling, Gordon R. Dixon, Gene Wolfe, Clifford D. Simak, James Tiptree Jr., Fred Pohl, Poole Anderson, Rudyard Kipling, Cordwainer Smith, who I just love his stuff, James P. Hogan, William Gibson, David Brin, Werner Vinge. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just can't tell you how excited I was to find this book. There's some of the authors on the back there. And then, and obviously I was with Steve Donoghue. Wow. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, BookTube. I brought another new person to the Brattle Bookshop.
Unbelievable.
Someday, you will all come here for SteveCon.
Soon. And he was showing me
Right.
around, and I very much appreciate it. And he knows science fiction inside and out. And I had, years ago, I always had just unbelievable amounts of the pulp magazines lying around. Just ones I wish I had now. I just had walls of them. So I would read the short stories. Short stories were a huge part of my science fiction reading. And I had run into the work of James Tiptree Jr. And never really I knew it was important, but for some reason I just never read I had other people I was interested in, and I maybe read a story or two. And James Tiptree Jr. is a very interesting woman writer, and I'm going to read some of these and probably do a video on her work. So Steve is the one who convinced me that these were a good idea to grab. So the first one here is James Tiptree Jr., 10,000 Light Years from Home, with an introduction by Harry Harrison, 15 Fascinating Voyages. Ace Books, New York, and this came out in 1973. So it's the first Ace printing. And give you an idea of some of the stories in it. Let's see, you got the introduction here by Harry. Let's see if they do a table of contents. I hope they do. Well, they have the introduction. They say, "And I awoke and found me here on the cold hillside. The snows are melted, the snows are gone. The peacefulness of Vivian. Mama comes home. Help. Pain-wise, faithful to thee, Tara. The man door said hello to." Wow, that's hard to say. "The man who walked home. Forever to a Hudson Bay blanket." And there's more. I'll just give you an idea. And then I got this one, James Tiptree Jr. and out of the Everywhere and Other Extraordinary Visions. And this one is Del Rey book, Valentine Books, and this is 1981, and it says first edition December 81. And let's see here. So in this we have Angel Fix, Beaver Tears, Your Faces, Oh My Sisters, Your Faces Filled of Light, The Screw-Fi Solution, Time-Sharing Angel, We Who Stole the Dream, Slow Music, The Source of Innocent Merriment, Out of the Everywhere, and With Delicate Mad Hands. So there's the second James Tiptree Jr. And then here's the third. Again, it's a It's a Del Rey book. And this one is Warm Worlds and Otherwise, and it has a special introduction by Robert Silverberg, who's another one of my favorite writers. I love Robert Silverberg stuff. And this Ballantine Books, New York, and this was 1975. So it has the introduction by Silverberg, then it has all kinds of Yes, The Milk of Paradise, and I Have Come Upon This Place by Lost Ways, The Last Flight of Dr. Ain, Amberjack, Through a Lass Darkly, The Girl Who Was Plugged In, Night Blooming Saurian, The Woman Men Don't See, Fault, Love is the Plan is Death, On the Last Afternoon. And then final James Tiptree that I got is Del Rey book again. This is Star Songs of an Old Primate, and has a special introduction by Ursula K. Le Guin, who many have heard had just recently passed away. Del Rey Books, Ballantine Books, New York, and this is 1978, first edition, January 1978. So it has Le Guin's introduction, then it has Your Haploid Heart, and so on and so on. Her Smoke Rose Up Forever, A Momentary Taste of Being, Houston, Houston, Do You Read? Which is one of the few of hers that I've read. The Psychologist Who Wouldn't Do Awful Things to Rats, and She Waits for All Men Born. So I'm going to have a lot of James Tiptree Jr. shorter works to read. And then Steve took me to the biggest Goodwill I have ever seen in my life. It just was massive. And he went into like this room, this big room with big bins full of books that hadn't been, I don't know what the story is. So for next to nothing, I picked up this. I need to read it. The hardback is beautiful, but it's huge. So I was happy to find a paperback edition, Brandon Sanderson, The Way of Kings, book 1 of the Stormlight archive. I've always wanted to read it. Well, not always, but since I've heard about it, I've wanted to read it. So that'll be exciting. And I also found this, a book of nonfiction by Walter Lord, who's a Night to Remember I've read more than once, but I've never read this one. The Dawn's Early Light, Walter Lord, The Climactic Shaping of the Land of the Free During the Hazardous Events of 1814 in Washington, Baltimore, and London. There's the author on the back. And this W.W. Norton Company Incorporated, New York. And this is copyright 1972. Here's the end papers. Nice map. There's a selection of illustrations in the middle, a whole section. So that was it for the Brattle, and that was it for the Goodwill. But Steve being Steve, on our way down, also our way back, I mean, from the Goodwill, gave me these. He gave me Lord Dunsany, The King of Elfland's Daughter, introduction by Neil Gaiman, and obviously a reprint. Let me see here. It's the Ballantine Publishing Group, New York. Originally came out in 1924. Has an introduction, copyright 1999 by Neil Gaiman. This is the 5th printing of the first Dell trade paperback edition of 99. So I have read a little bit of Dunsany. I have not read this particular one, and I probably need to read more. What I read I like. And then another really neat looking book here is Spooky New England, Tales of Haunting, Strange Happenings, and Other Local Lore, retold by S.E. Schlosser, illustration by Paul G. Hoffman. Beautiful thing. It is Globe Peacock Press, Guilford, Connecticut. And it is, let me see, what's the date on this? 2017. So basically a collection of ghost stories. Some very close by here. There's one in Stowe, Vermont I'm looking at right now. And one in Henniker, New Hampshire. Ocean-born Mary. Henniker, New Hampshire has one of the great, and I can't remember the exact name of it. They have a used bookstore there that's a giant barn, and it's chock full of treasures. I love the place. Anytime I'm near Henniker, I go there. I have to find out the name of the bookstore. Maybe I can do a video visiting there sometime. So here's the French Paymaster, whatever that means. So I haven't read any of these, so I look forward to reading them. So that was the my book haul, a Brattle book haul. I guess it's a Goodwill book haul and a Donoghueish book haul. So it's been a long weekend. I need to recover. I feel out of sorts a little bit, but it's a great weekend for books. Thank you, BookTube.